Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. I have two exciting guests today. First, I'm going to introduce you to Eric Younger, second term for City Council. And then my second guest is Patty Peterson. She's the Executive Director with our Bremerton Food Line. Stay with us. Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. My special guest today for the first one is going to be Eric Younger, Councilman on City Council, and this is actually his second term to serve our city. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Mary Lynn.
And you grew up in Bremerton or Kitsap County?
Actually, no, I didn't. I'm a Minnesota boy. I grew up in Minnesota.
Midwest?
Yeah.
And how did you land in Kitsap?
Oh, that's a long story, but we got 15 minutes. So I was in Minnesota all the way through college, and then I got my first job in San Francisco, moved up to Seattle, went to Detroit, and had the opportunity to go back to the Northwest, and I decided in 1997 to move to Bremerton.
And how did you meet that lovely wife of yours?
Oh, I met her on the job, actually, and she was running a winery at the time.
So you have a taste for wine?
Yes, I have a taste for wine. Yeah.
Then that wine festival meets our expectations.
Yeah.
Now, you and Christina, you're involved because you still work and you commute to Seattle.
Yes.
And would that 30-minute fast ferry be something you would take every day if it was operating?
Well, Mayor, that's why I came here in 1997, and I've been waiting 17 years for a reliable fast ferry. So
I think we've got it. I think next year it should be in the water for us. And the reason I ask that is that you and your wife and son are exactly what we're trying to bring to Bremerton. And the fast ferry is one way of having a quality of life and having young families, because our future is going to depend not only on retail and spending, but young families living and raising their children here. We don't need more retirement or some of our vulnerable population that exists today. So we're doing some outreach. Bringing us back to your family, Christine is a member of the Bremerton Rotary and very involved with the AVID program at Bremerton High School.
Yes.
Does she, I'm sure your conversation at the dinner table is exciting. You coming home from work, her talking about what she's doing in the community, and then you have a famous son.
Yeah, I guess he's experiencing his 15 minutes of fame right now. Yeah.
And how old is Andrew?
It's actually Anderson.
Anderson, so Andy is what he's called.
He goes by Andy. He's 11 years old.
And he is famous because of his...
He's the national Pokemon champion, yes.
How did he get involved?
Well, like most things in our life, my wife got him involved. And she saw this card game and thought Andy would be interested. It's got components of math and reading in it. There's all kinds of different abilities and attacks and all in the cards, and there's a lot of math involved in doing the attacks. And so she thought, well, maybe Andy would like this. And that was about two and a half years ago.
So in just 2.5 years, he has mastered that. And you must, he must excite you to, you must play with him.
Well, yeah.
He needs a partner.
I'm his sparring partner. He's an only child.
Yes.
So Dad plays Pokemon. Yes, I'll admit it on TV. I play Pokemon with my son. And when we go to tournaments, the tournaments can be 8-hour days. So in the beginning, I would just make sure he's between matches, he looks to see who his opponent is and all that stuff. He's all grown up now. It's like, Dad, stay away. So I have to do something with my time. So I'm playing Pokemon too at the tournament. Now, after 4 or 5 matches, I drop out because I lose. I'm just... But Andy, he's done very well.
He's focused. I think that's exciting. Besides that, this year you and Christina hosted a Kure Japanese exchange student.
Right, the year before, actually.
Year before. And that must have been fun because Pokemon was actually invented in Japan.
Yes, it's originated in Japan, and they're actually, in the Pokemon world, they're 3 months ahead of us in the cards and all that stuff. So. And it's very popular in Japan. And so our Japanese foreign exchange student, Genshi, we had communicated with him before. So when he came over, as you know, The Japanese are very hospitable guests, and he came over with all kinds of presents and lots of Pokemon presents for Andy.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Also, we take advantage of the quality of life and the things that we have available to us, whether it's in Canada or around our state. Was it exciting to see how a foreign student, a different culture, how they appreciated the things that you did with them?
Yeah, and it was. And of course, my wife doesn't work, so she has the opportunity to take Genji everywhere, and we did. We took him, we even got permission to take him up to Vancouver and show him all kinds of things. And what really impressed upon me is, well, first of all, he's such a respectful young man. It's just amazing what a good kid he is. But the other thing is that he was in awe of how much space we have in the United States.
Yes.
He was also in awe of how big houses are. I mean, I don't live in a huge house, about 2,800 square feet, but to him, coming from Curry, that's a big house.
It is a big house. When, do you feel that when Andy is old enough to be an exchange student, that that would be a program he might look into?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's already talking about it?
Sure.
I want to share with you that because of the AVID program and the things that are going on in our city, this year the graduation rate from Bremerton High School was 88%. Last year it was only 84%. So every year we are advancing. I believe that Andy is in public school.
No, actually he's not.
And he goes to which school?
He goes to a small private school called Silverwood.
I know Silverwood.
Yeah.
In Silverdale?
Yeah.
There are several of our military commanders that their children attend that school as well.
Yeah.
Smaller classes and a little more focused attention.
One of the advantages is my wife wanted to get really involved in the school curriculum, and so she's allowed to do that at Silverwood. And they really want parents to be focused and participate in their children's education. So on every Friday, she teaches Math Olympics. So goes in there and teaches math to the kids.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I know that in Japan and other countries that they go to school 6 days a week, and the parents are very involved. When we have anyone that comes here that doesn't speak English as a first language, they pick it up immediately because of that dedication from the parents. So, good mentors. As far as City Council, this is your second time, and you've got expectations. How do you see us moving forward?
Well, let's go back a second.
Sure.
When I got on the council in 2001, I was 35 years old. I kind of had stumbled into the position. David Farr had left the district. He married Judge Slory. And so it got vacated, the position, and I applied. My girlfriend at the time, I told her, it was my current wife, I said, hey, I could do that job just as well as anybody else. And she said, well, go ahead and apply. And so I was fortunate enough to get appointed, and then I won the election for the rest of his term. And that was really a learning process for me, learning how everything worked in politics. And so I really wasn't much of a policy setter back then. I was just learning. Luckily, I had Cecil McConnell as my mentor.
Great.
But as you know, in those times, it was a time of growth. We had a lot of buildings going up downtown, and then we had the real estate bust. So the second time around when I came on board, I was a little more mature, knew a little more about Bremerton, about my community, and I was more focused into what I wanted to achieve.
You also are a parent.
And I'm a parent, which changes things. Yes.
Correct. Because things and decisions you're making are not necessarily just for today. They're for that future.
That's correct. Yeah.
We're going through a comprehensive plan, and it's something that each one of our 7 council members are going to have to take and really be pretty focused on your district. So we have a new way of doing things. Our executive director and her staff, Andrea Spencer and Allison Setter, took you out and you got to walk and drive your district. Were you amazed at what you saw?
Yeah, I was. And in the interest of full disclosure, it's supposed to be a walking tour, but as you know, District 7 is huge. So
I'm in your district. I used to be in your district.
You used to be, and then
Yes.
we went from 9 to 7, and I lost you. But it's basically the Housing Authority property, it's called West Park The name's escaping me because I'm on TV.
Bay Vista.
Bay Vista, thank you. And go all the way west, all the way out to Puget Sound Industrial Center, the new name for it, and then south to Gorst, the Gorst area. It's a huge area. And so the demographics are a little different than maybe the rest of Bremerton.
And you're right. In order to get the same number of population for each district, we had to go through those census tracts. And you just have a lot of land base.
Yes.
But that's where the growth and that industrial area can be the future of Bremerton.
Absolutely. There's, as you know, there's some planned housing developments that got a little stalled because of the real estate bust. And most of our sales tax money is right there in Auto Center Way. So we really appreciate our auto dealers for the financial security of our city.
That and our shipyard.
And our shipyard, yes.
We don't realize that the number of civilian people that work in the shipyard are only second to Boeing in the state of Washington. So it's good for us, although the piece of land, which is right next to us, we're kind of joined at the hip. We lose some because that is a business that doesn't pay taxes. So we make it up by the people that work there and, of course, hopefully the money that they spend in our city.
Right. And of course, one of the goals is to get more shipyard workers, because I think the last time I saw the statistic was approximately 30% living within the city limits. And it would be nice to get that number up a little.
You mentioned housing, and we do have, cranes will be starting up by the first of the year, and we have 3 apartment and townhouse complexes. So we'll have about 280 units. As you know, like Bay Vista, over in East Park, we have about 400 houses that they want to do in phases and should be completed by the end of 2015. So we're going to have a lot of housing market to take care of that population that we want to grow here.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm particularly excited. I know it's not in my district, but and I didn't always get along with Kerry Bozeman the first time around, but I do believe when he talked about you have to establish that downtown core and have a healthy downtown. I'm excited to see especially those 2 new apartment complexes, one on top of the theater and one overlooking the bridge, Spyglass, because that's going to help attract millennials. There's this new market segment. Millennials are what millennials are, but they tend not to want to be in their car. And if they're working downtown in the high-tech sector corridor or whatever, and apartment rents in Seattle are well north of $2,000. You can see what a great value Bremerton is. We're putting in the infrastructure in our downtown. And just this last Monday, my wife, Andy, and I, we walked downtown, we walked down 4th Street. It's actually starting to bustle a little.
It is.
It's getting, Maryland, we're right on the brink, in my opinion. And I think we're finally turning the corner, and it's exciting to see, because it's always been one of those catch-22, which comes first, you know, the
Correct.
Infrastructure. Now we're getting the people in. We're getting a buildable downtown. We're starting to get people that are going to stay downtown when the business is closed, and hopefully the co-op grocery comes in, and the momentum starts picking up. So I'm very excited to see that.
And you know, we have a safer downtown. The new police chief is doing some great things. He's got some great ideas. One of them is he wants to start a cadet program, and it isn't just for youth. We are a very white-centric city governance. And so when people go and they see everyone that works for the city and the police force is Caucasian, it makes them think, well, where's the ethnicity? We're the largest city in the county, and we do have the greatest ethnic group of people. So he wants to reach out, and he wants to go to the Filipinos and to the Hawaiians and to the African Americans, and he wants them to take and have a focus on a future. So the reason for his program is to do that outreach and have that connection that police are friendly, that they're not someone to be feared, that if you needed help, you walk up to that policeman and you talk to him and ask him. And they want them not to make poor choices in those critical middle and high school years so that they can go into either law enforcement, into the military, into something that will bring them really a strong career path. So I kind of agree with the things that he's doing in our city, what he's doing for the safety. When you talked about being downtown and seeing some vibrancy, it's because people feel safe. We've got new streetscapes. We're going to do something on the other side of 4th Street so that that also will have that same kind of inviting nature.
Right.
Getting back to our comp plan, the public that watches this program needs to get involved, because you're going to make some changes as far as what we've been up to. We had a comp plan back in 2004, and it didn't quite work when the economy was really at its lowest. We needed to change some of our rules and regulations and some of the zoning to allow repurposing of our existing buildings and some new construction. So having said that, we want to look at where the economy needs to be, who should we attract, and how we do that. So we're going to have more excitement in this comprehensive plan, and we need the ideas from the people that live in your neighborhood and in your district.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing I know that each one of you council members are going to have at least one, if not more, meetings to take so people can take a look at what you walked through and what exists around your neighborhood. There's lots of ideas. They don't all work. They don't all fit, but there are still lots of ideas.
Yeah, I agree.
I tell people, come to the city council meetings, or take a phone call or send an email. Bring any kind of an issue you have, because I know you listen, the rest of our council listens, and that's what we're there for. I think that this being your second time around, that you actually are going to be setting some goals. You're vice chair this year. Do you think there's a possibility you might be the chair next year?
Well, you never know. I am a very busy person, and Greg's done a great job.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, even in these, let's see, I'm in my 3rd year now since coming back. And as you know, working with you, we've done a lot of positive things to clean up the city.
Right.
The rental property ordinance, requiring registration of all landlords, working with PROA in getting that enacted, working with, which is the Puget Rental Owners Association, to get their buy-in, make sure it's an effective law. As you know, the abandoned property ordinance, we worked through that with the Department of Community Development and with your guidance. We're doing the necessary measures that we should do as a government to set the table. And then and also you brought in some great directors. I can't, you know, I mentioned it 2 weeks ago or last week how pleased I am about Chief Strand. He's just probably one of the best hires you made. It's just unbelievable, and what he's doing with community policing and getting the community involved. And your public works director, doing a great job. DCD, Andrea Spencer, she's looking at what's wrong with our code. Why can't businesses, why aren't they setting up shop here? And she's going through it, her and her staff, and they're not just changing, oh, this developer wants this, they want that. They're using a sound approach, looking at the code, asking developers, what's wrong, how come we won't develop? I understand the economy is a major part, but capital is going to go where it's cheapest to build and where the profit is more likely to be made. And so we are taking the steps through your administration and telling the council what needs to be done, listening, and then for the most part agreeing with you and making those changes. Another example, and I know I'm just taking some time here, but
fine.
Is the business and occupation tax. You know, that law was passed in 1982. I still haven't figured out the history. I'm sure there was money behind it. They needed money. But 3 years ago, the council, along with your guidance, we said, we need to get off B&O tax. So every year, we're increasing the exemption by 20,000. So for this budget cycle, first 120,000 is not subject to the city B&O tax.
Correct.
State B&O tax, nothing we can do about. But when the rest of our community, when Kitsap County, Port Orchard don't have a B&O tax, it puts us at a competitive disadvantage. So the council realized that, and we're trying to get off the B&O tax with the hopes that we're going to attract more businesses, especially retail, and get the sales tax revenue up. So what I'm trying to say is this council gets it, and so does the mayor, and we're working forward, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to be on council.
And that's one of the reasons I hope that our audience will come to some of the meetings on that first and third Wednesday that we have down at the Norman Dix Government Center. It's been a pleasure having you on board, Eric.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Stay with us. We have one more guest. Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. My second guest today is Patty Peterson. She is the Executive Director, Manager, Shopkeeper, Cleaner, Bottle Washer, everything there is to do with our Bremerton food line. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you, Marilyn.
And you are everything. The last time we were together, it was in your warehouse.
Correct.
In your facility, and the cupboards were a little bit bare then. So tell us what's been going on over the years and how you've survived and the good things that you're doing in our community.
Well, I think that we can be proud at the Bremerton Food Line and in the community of Bremerton as well, because we took that recession impact, low shelf thing, and we've turned it around. We've had wonderful community participation. A really good example, which is coming up, is the Bremerton High School Nights and their nighttime food chain drive, which starts at the Bremerton High School and hands off food all the way over to the Bremerton Food Line. Last year there were 2,000 pounds the first round, and they kept going. When we got done, we had 2 tons of food.
Oh my goodness.
It was so exciting. And so that just kind of represents the wonderful opportunities in our community that are available to help those that need hunger assistance. Not everyone needs a lot of help. Sometimes people only need help for a couple days, maybe a month. Sometimes they need more. We work intently to optimize the donor dollars and the cans of food that come in throughout the county with all the food banks and Kitsap Food Bank Coalition. But we're especially proud because we got that beautiful building through a community development block grant, and we think we've made the most of it for the community, working together with all of our friends in the community. You and I have worked on several projects.
We have. I'm going to start first because it's the season. It's the holiday of Thanksgiving and Christmas coming. There's Send Hunger Packing. I believe it started with the Red Cross and with United Moving and Storage.
Red Cross, United Moving and Storage. The current chairperson, who's been for the last 3 years, is Kathy Brorson from Kitsap Credit Union. She's put all this together.
On the edge.
Oh, she has done so much in putting this out there. The Red Cross was not able to participate due to budget cuts this year, which kind of lost us a county-wide food drive, but other people are stepping in. This is the only homegrown county-wide food drive that is not a part of a bigger entity like Feeding America, Food Lifeline, Northwest Harvest. This is homegrown to Kitsap County. So people can be very proud that we are able to support so much. We'll have lots of boxes out. You'll have a copy of the flyer up there. They could go to the website. There's a link on Kitsap Credit Union's website, and there's a Facebook site, which sadly I am the webmaster of, and my smartphone's smarter than I am, but we're making it work, and we already have one food drive that was combined with a combined federal campaign with the DSHS people out on Auto Center Way and at the Francis Head and Morgan Center. And between those 2 agencies responding, we got just a little under a ton of food, but wonderful t-shirts, great opportunity to talk to people who work every day with the clients we serve, and just a really great time. And let's see, there's some little bit more. Like I say, the nights are coming up. We're packaging Thanksgiving baskets. Of course, you're invited.
Yes.
And so we'll be doing about 850 baskets for Thanksgiving. And when I say basket, it's really a box of food with the things that make up your meal. That's the difference between a food bank that distributes food to other food agencies and a food pantry that distributes food to people to cook, and a soup kitchen that prepares the food. And
there is a difference.
There is a difference. There's a whole industry out there that who knew all these important parts.
Right.
But we're lucky that we've got what we've got.
You and I had another project, and it was at Pinewood Manor. I went to their 25th anniversary, and this is assisted living. There are people that have been there for about 20 years or the 25 years, and they didn't have fresh vegetables. And so they had said they wanted a garden, and I went straight to you because at an auction I bought one of the raised garden beds that your husband builds, and love it. And you said, yeah, maybe we could do that. So together we started at least fulfilling that dream for the residents of Pinewood Manor. And then we dedicated it this year, and you got all kinds of food. They're still harvesting.
Absolutely. Not only are they harvesting, I'm going over there in a week so that we can prepare the garden beds for winter time things. We've been over a couple times they have a special meal once a month. And then I took a painting club, little signs for their doors because they really like that. But I'm most excited about the garden because they ate every month when they have their monthly meal that they enjoy together. They have something from their garden. And it's a salad, it's green beans, it's radishes, and if the deer would leave it alone, they would have apples, but they keep eating the apples off their trees, and they're out there with their squirt gun squirting them. So just really delightful people, and we love the whole process of
That's
being a
a
partner.
tremendous thing. Another project was Seeds of Grace. Decided that we have all the parks throughout the city, and we have 38 parks, but some of them aren't utilized in different corners. So one little corner, again, I think through your rescue, but they built, and I believe they have 10 or they have 20 bedded gardens.
I think it's 10 at Lulu Haddon, and then they're putting the other ones over by the Youth Wellness Campus. And they'll continue to put them in our local areas, growing food every day. The first baskets of food, we had these enormous squash, and we had beautiful lettuce and great greens. Those are things that food banks really have, or food pantries really struggle with because the cost is high, but the nutrition return is great. So,
and it's great for our families to learn what the fresh food is like.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
there are volunteers that plant and that nurture and that harvest.
Absolutely. And of course they could always come if somebody wanted to volunteer, not in that neighborhood, but down right where we are, because we have 18 raised beds at the Bremerton Food Line, and that was our little start. Started with a Hallman Foundation grant from the University of Washington and went forward from there. We just kept adding raised beds, and we added some apple trees, we added some blueberry bushes and strawberries now. We've got broccoli this week, so not a lot, but we've got broccoli. So it's a great program.
Patty, and you're a great guest for me to have for the city of Bremerton and for even expand into our county. Patty Peterson and the Bremerton Food Line is our horn of plenty for this Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday. We're glad that you joined us today, and we'll see you next time.
America Food Lifeline Northwest Harvest. This is homegrown to Kitsap County. So people can be very proud that we are able to support so much. We'll have lots of boxes out. You'll have a copy of the flyer up there. They could go to the website. There's a link on Kitsap Credit Union's website, and there's a Facebook site, which sadly I am the webmaster of, and my smartphone's smarter than I am, but we're making it work, and we already have one food drive that was combined with a combined federal campaign with the DSHS people out on Auto Center Way and at the Francis Haddon Morgan Center, and between those two agencies responding, we got just a little under a ton of food, but wonderful t-shirts, great opportunity to talk to people who work every day with the clients we serve, and just a really great time. And let's see, there's some little bit more. I say the nights are coming up. We're packaging Thanksgiving baskets. Of course, you're invited.
Yes.
And so we'll be doing about 850 baskets for Thanksgiving. And when I say basket, it's really a box of food with the things that make up your meal. That's the difference between a food bank that distributes food to other food agencies and a food pantry that distributes food to people to cook, and a soup kitchen that prepares the food. And
there is a difference.
There is a difference. There's a whole industry out there that who knew all these important parts.
Right.
But we're lucky that we've got what we've got.
You and I had another project, and it was at Pinewood Manor. I went to their 25th anniversary, and this is assisted living. There are people that have been there for about 20 years or the 25 years, and they didn't have fresh vegetables. And so they had said they wanted a garden, and I went straight to you because at an auction I bought one of the raised garden beds that your husband builds, and love it. And you said, yeah, maybe we could do that. So together we started at least fulfilling that dream for the residents of Pinewood Manor. And then we dedicated it this year, and you got all kinds of food. They're still harvesting.
Absolutely. Not only are they harvesting, I'm going over there in a week so that we can prepare the garden beds for winter time things. We've been over a couple times to they have a special meal once a month. And then I took a painting club, little signs for their doors because they really like that. But I'm most excited about the garden because they ate every month when they have their monthly meal that they enjoy together. They have something from their garden. And it's a salad, it's green beans, it's radishes, and if the deer would leave it alone, they would have apples, but they keep eating the apples off their trees, and they're out there with their squirt gun squirting them. So just really delightful people, and we love the whole process of being a
That's a
partner.
tremendous thing. Another project was Seeds of Grace. Decided that we have all the parks throughout the city, and we have 38 parks. But some of them aren't utilized in different corners. So one little corner, again, I think through your rescue, but they built, and I believe they have 10 or they have 20 bedded gardens.
I think it's 10 at Lulu Haddon, and then they're putting the other ones over by the Youth Wellness Campus. And they'll continue to put them in our local areas, growing food every day. The first baskets of food, we had these enormous squash, and we had beautiful lettuce and great greens. Those are things that food banks really have, or food pantries really struggle with because the cost is high, but the nutrition return is great. So,
and it's great for our families to learn what the fresh food is like.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
there are volunteers that plant and that nurture and that harvest.
Absolutely. And of course they could always come if somebody wanted to volunteer, not in that neighborhood, but down right where we are, because we have 18 raised beds at the Bremerton Food Line, and that was our little start. Started with a Hallman Foundation grant from the University of Washington, and went forward from there. We just kept adding raised beds, and we added some apple trees, we added some blueberry bushes, and strawberries now. But we've got broccoli this week, so not a lot, but we've got broccoli. So it's a great program.
Patty, and you're a great guest for me to have for the city of Bremerton and for even expanded into our county. Patty Peterson and the Bremerton Food Line is our horn of plenty for this Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday. We're glad that you joined us today, and we'll see you next.